Hi, this video is for Sam and Jan 111, who at least a year or maybe 2 years ago had seen my Class A prototype audio amp and thought it sounded good and was asking for a schematic. I just now saw that post, so here's the discussion and the schematic. Right now we're looking at one 12AX7, 12AT7, 12AY7 preamp that I built. It's got a terminal strip on the side, which allows a lot of flexibility for me for what I'm going to power it with. And most tubes can take a range of voltages, pretty much all tubes. So some things that I would suggest, first of all, I would start, if you're going to do something like this, a Class A, if it's your first Class A tube amp, start with just half of the triode and the preamp, which is going to look something like this. So here we have a 12AX7 with just one side. Pin 1 is the plate, 3 is the cathode, 2 is the grid where the input comes in. So if you're making a guitar amp, I used a 68K resistor here, which sounds really good with the impedance of a guitar's pickup. It's what Fender uses on the Champ. So this is really simple. I just used what I had, and I think I had 1.5. The Champ uses like 1.2 or something. So for the coupling cap, definitely go polypropylene, high quality caps. Don't scrimp and use paper. I wouldn't use oil filled or something like that. Metal film resistors, get brand new ones if you can. So, okay, here's the schematic for both sides. Okay, and then for the power supply on this one, actually the one you saw, I was using a full bridge rectifier, full wave rectification with 4 diodes. So high voltage comes in here, it's grounded here, and then I used a 5 Henry choke in between the full wave rectifier, filter caps, choke, another filter cap, which by the way I use F&T filter caps, and then a 10K 5-watt resistor in between that and the B plus for the preamp tubes. Okay, so coming out here, again we have a 0.022. I use 0.22, 0.22 microfarads for the poly cap. For coupling to the 6L6, which is what you saw in the video, or 5881. So that comes right out here to the grid leak resistor, which I use 2 watts, 470 ohms in the amp you saw. And then successfully, I've actually used a 6V6, 6L6, GC, 6L6G, 5881s, 6L6 WGC. I've also used a KT88 with a rather large cathode bias resistor on the KT88. Actually, it can run for about an hour playing guitar, and I can put my hand on top of the tube and it's still not even hot enough to burn me. So the main power B plus comes through your output transformer, and then the other side feeds the plate directly on your power tube. So using cathode bias, I would start with a rather large value here and then take your measurements. So for plate dissipation, you're going to want to measure your plate voltage to ground on your power tube. Okay, so that's pin 3 to ground. When you get that voltage, write that down and then measure your cathode bias resistance and your cathode bias resistor. Okay, these 2 points. Okay, when you get that number, write that down. And then carefully and safely measure your voltage drop while the amp is on. So how much does the voltage drop? So you've got 21.8, and I had that in this case. So voltage drop over cathode resistance gives you your plate dissipation in watts. So this is useful to know. So once again, so to recap, I would get half of this working to your satisfaction, test that out, get the other half working. Let's see, in my schematic, I don't have the, in this particular schematic, I don't have the potentiometer, do I? Let's see if I have it here. I don't have it here, but I'll leave that as an exercise for you, or maybe you can check it out and figure it out from this wiring diagram. But feel free to email me if you have any additional questions about this. All the best.